Well, hello, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, uh, this is my good buddy Greg, and we're just going to
This
do a
is,
little chat, a throwback, if you will. Uh,
yeah.
for those of you,
I'm scared about where this is going to go.
no idea,
But
no idea.
I just want to remind you, Zach, that I have equally as much dirt on you as you do on me.
Fair.
So if you hit
That's
me,
fair.
I will hit you back, sir.
Well, I can't hit you because social distancing, and you live in Texas. But I mean,
True.
it's cool. It's cool. But Greg, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be the youth pastor for 6th through 12th grade at Hazels Baptist Church here in Buda, Texas. It is not Buda, all of you Illinois people. I'm just kidding. I'm from Illinois. I know that it's not pronounced with an S. Grew up in the Quad Cities, so most
Mm-hmm.
of y'all on Zach's side very familiar with what I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
there. Miss Whitey's ice cream every day of my life. Yeah, so grew up in Quad Cities. Actually, this week is my anniversary of moving to Texas 4 years ago
Wow.
to work with the student ministry here. So, uh, Zach, for my students who may not have met you at camp, go ahead
Yes.
and tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Zach Klundt, and I am the student director here at Bethel Baptist Church in Galesburg, Illinois, which is about an hour south of the Quad Cities, where went to church there. That's where I met Greg, was through church. And he was so much older than I was. But we
Sure.
were able to remain friends
Uh,
through it all. So
so
Greg,
much
you're like
older.
you're like 3 years older than me. I always forget. 4 years older. 4 years.
So yeah, it's
4 years.
almost 5 because my birthday is next week and I will be 35. And you
Mm.
just hit 30, so
I just turned 30.
you're in the
I
old
just
man
turned 30.
club now as well.
Yeah, I like being there. I like being there.
Yeah.
It's a good
So
place. It's a good place. So
Zach and
yeah,
I
man.
met, as
Hmm.
Zach said, at our church in Moline, Illinois.
Yep.
Man,
Shout out to Bethany Baptist Church.
yes, sir. I think it's been. I mean, I was a senior in high school when we met.
Hmm.
So that has to
Yeah.
be close to 17 years ago now,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Oh man.
So Zach and I have been through a lot. Really, really cool, actually. I met Zach as a high school student when our youth pastor asked me to help out in the middle school ministry. Zach was in 8th
Hmm.
grade,
Yep.
and he was the first
Hmm.
student that I really connected with, kind of as like a leader-student relationship. And
Hmm.
that over the years just kind of blossomed into a really solid friendship
Hmm.
that has lasted this long. So
That's
we
right.
thought it'd be fun for all of you to just kind of hear us share some stories and stuff. I know that from experience as a teenager, like you don't ever really know who your youth pastor is outside of the youth group world that you live in, and
That's
we thought
right.
we'd give you a
Hmm.
glimpse into the past and some stories that we have to share. Zach, I will let you start, sir.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh man. Well, yeah. Like I remember in 8th grade. That's when I had an afro, and glasses and
Yes,
braces,
yes.
and
That is when track Zach was born.
that's when Track Sack was born. As we'll throw a picture up of
Yes,
Track
please
Sack. This
do.
is
Please
this
throw up
is
a
this
picture
is
of track
for
Zach.
this is for everyone. My students, Greg, just so you know, my students made T-shirts at our last
Oh,
snow
dude,
blast, and like I was up front, and then all of a
that's
sudden they all
amazing.
started standing up and like unzipping their
Oh
shirts and
my
like
gosh,
had this photo of myself in my 8th grade
man.
track uniform saying Track Sack, and then on the back it said hashtag Running for Jesus.
So, you've already won with having the coolest students in this conversation because that is incredible.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. They're
Now, was
pretty
that a
great.
student's idea or was your wife behind the mastermind
Uh,
behind that?
I think there was definitely some leader involvement because we had a leader that made the shirts for everyone. But
Yeah.
I mean, like 30 people were involved in this, and I had
That's
no
amazing.
clue at all. They all kept it under wraps and stuff, and
That's incredible.
it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. So, um, you know, uh, early on in ministry, Greg, there's always those moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Did you ever have any of those moments while you were at Bethany?
Yo, for sure, dude. So the first one would be so as you know, I mean, I wasn't even a Christian until the beginning of my senior year in high school. So
It's
when
true.
Donnie, our youth pastor, just a few short months later asked me to start serving in student ministry, and then that summer asked me to intern, I was like this like kind of wannabe punk rocker kid who thought it was funny to like make people angry and like disobey the rules, slowly morphing into like what a Christian is supposed to look like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that Donnie and several of our like kind of key leaders and students went to
Mm-hmm.
India for 2 weeks that summer and left me in charge of everything was insanely idiotic. There was lots of like, and you know this, but there was like lots of beating students till they were like red and bruised with fun noodles,
Uh-huh.
like things that I think you could get arrested for
Probably.
nowadays.
Probably
But
should have been arrested
we
for.
did a bowling outing that while Donnie and the team was in India,
Uh-huh.
and I took a bunch of youth students as an adult. Well, an adult. I was 18. In the church van, which I'm pretty sure it was legal for me to drive it back then. I don't think the rules had been in place to be 21 and over. I hope. I don't know if I was breaking the law, but man,
We'll just say yeah.
Byron found out that I was the only quote unquote adult doing a youth outing out to bowling, and he showed up at the bowling alley. And oh my gosh, he was so mad. Byron was our lead pastor at the time,
Yep.
for those of you that
Mm-hmm.
know. Man, he was so mad, and he drove the students back and just told me to go home.
Go
Uh,
home.
it was not fun, and the conversations with Donnie afterwards were not pleasant ones. So yes, that was definitely the
And
biggest like, what was I thinking?
and it was just because you didn't have any other adults with you. It was,
Yeah, I mean, there's
I mean,
nobody else there. Like it was summer, so like
yeah,
everything was kind of on like, summers are always more laid back and people aren't as
mm-hmm.
involved.
Right.
The leadership for the student ministry was either just kind of taking a break or in India. And so I was like, hey, you know what sounds like a good idea? Let's go bowling. Were you part of that or no? Not that.
Man, I don't think so.
No.
I knew that was evil, and I stayed away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
had discernment at that time. Maybe I'm the one that called Byron and said, "Hey, they're bowling."
Oh, I'm sure. As an eighth grade student, you were like, no.
No, I was probably picking out my hair.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, something like that.
That's awesome. What about you? You asked the question. I'm sure you had something in mind. What would you say?
No, I definitely remember you beating up kids. Often, thankfully, I was, about your size, so we didn't really wrestle a whole lot.
To me, that's what's funny too about like working in student ministry is you were playing sports and like lifting weights all through high school and stuff, and I'm not like a macho guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just
Right.
kind of a dude. Like I'm not like a big weenie, but I'm not a huge macho dude either. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just kind of even. And like as you're lifting weights and getting stronger through high school stuff, like you, I think, still just kind of remembered being a puny little junior high kid and me kind of beating on you. So for a while, you were still afraid of me when I knew you could totally destroy me. So, but that's kind of happens. Like you don't realize sometimes that like
Yeah.
those changes take place. So I tried to exploit that as much as possible.
Yeah, but no, I mean, man, we spent so much time at the church. We were
for sure.
And I remember always like we'd be in the office or whatever, and we'd have to like go down to the fridge for Mountain Dew. And that was the worst. Churches are scary at night anyway.
Yes.
And
Yes,
this church,
my students have heard
oh,
stories in messages I've given about how scary that church was at night, because that was the worst one I've been in, dude.
we got it. We have it here. This one is
Oh,
terrifying here at
really?
Bethel. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. It is so
It is
scary.
kind of a maze. I will give you that. So I
Yeah.
could see how it'd be
Mm-hmm.
kind of scary.
But at Bethany, it was the stairs. It was the hallway from the kitchen
Mm.
back to the offices, where there was just this corridor of classrooms.
Yes.
It was all dark except for the exit sign at the end. And
So
you
the
just
whole thing was glowing red, which is not
yep.
ever a good feeling in the dark. Like, light is always good, but red is not what you want.
Yeah, you literally grab the Mountain Dew and you just pray that you don't die on the way back up. So many times, like we do, like rock paper scissors to see who had to go downstairs to get the Mountain Dew. Consumed so much Mountain Dew. Played wall ball often, all the time.
Wall ball. Dude, speaking of things we probably could get arrested for nowadays, like the welts we would leave on minors playing wall ball at Bethany Baptist Church were probably child abuse. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I mean, you could get arrested.
We would back up. Oh, I mean, we being the leaders, because I mean, John played, and there's other adults involved. I mean, I was probably the instigating adult, but there were other adults involved. But we would open up those big glass sliding doors so we could go out in the yard, we would run, and we would curl hop. To throw like an outfielder trying to throw someone out at home plate 200 feet away, but we're like 20 feet away from someone.
Oh man!
And when you would hit square in the back, dude, I have nightmares about the way that ball sounded.
It just
when
dropped
it would hit you square in the back, it would just be like, and you would just be like, ah, and you would just be on the floor.
That flinch, and then drops you.
For some reason, we would get back up and start playing again.
Just keep playing. Just keep playing. There's some vivid ones I always remember, and I remember the one that you just chucked at your brother and just dropped him.
Yes.
Oh man, that was a good one.
And that one was worse because I don't remember what the argument was about, but I remember being really mad at him. And so like there was vengeance in it, and so like, and he's my older brother. He's much larger than I am. So like I hit him and he knew it was like, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to kill you. And like instantly I was back a little kid again. Like everything in me was like, run, just run away. Run as far as you can.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh my gosh. So
man. Do you ever play wall ball nowadays? Is that a part of
I have taught them. We definitely don't chuck it at each other. Unfortunately. We play like with outs, like you get like 3 outs, then you're out of the game. And have like a king of the hill kind of thing.
We're old now, so we don't have fun. I don't know why we think of that as the fun way to play wall ball, but
there's just there's that balance of pain and like trying to compete, and like you don't want to get up on the wall, and it's just a game that's just endless.
When it glances off your hand and flies up, and then you just dive and catch it, just how good that feels that it didn't fall to the ground.
It's exhilarating. And you don't have to run to the wall then? Mm-hmm.
Our high school group, I think we're kind of proudly the more nerdy side of things. And so
that's awesome.
Not a ton of interest. We have kind of our sports kids and stuff, but like they're the minority. So not a lot of interest in that. But our middle school group that we just started this year, and the guys who've come up in that they were like, have you ever heard of wall ball? I was like, have you heard of wall ball? So
created wall ball.
I think we're moving into a phase where wall ball is going to be making a comeback in my life, which I'm A-okay with. So
yeah. Because we play with a tennis ball. We haven't really played with racket balls and stuff. Because can you imagine getting blasted by a tennis ball?
That sucks, dude. A tennis ball, but you don't line up anymore.
We don't line up. We don't line up to chuck. We just. Can you imagine?
You need to get racket balls though, dude, because racket balls are what give you those crazy bounces and stuff.
It's true. It's true
because tennis balls are heavy and they kind of just they lie flat more. And you don't get the crazy deflections and stuff. The most heartbreaking thing in the world is when you go to get it and it glances off and it pops up and you turn around to try and catch it, but someone else is there and they've already
someone else grabs it,
and they're just like
run. That's when you play. You're just like run.
You're like I'll give you 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's when you try to throw it and just kind of like make sure like the bounce comes back at them as they're running towards the wall. And it's a little
And then
vicious, but
you're humbled immediately because you're humbled immediately because you just like cockily throw it, and then you hit the ground or the ceiling first, and you're like, dang it.
dang. There's a lot of humbling experiences there with wall ball. A
For
lot of
sure,
humbling
man.
experiences there. Oh
For
my gosh.
sure.
Yes.
Hey man, so a
Hmm.
question I wanted to ask you is,
Yeah.
at what point in your life did you realize that God had placed a call in your life to actually make student ministry a career?
Yeah. So I've shared this with obviously my students, where I felt that calling about my junior year in high school.
Okay.
From a lot of people, from you, and even your brother, and some other people saying like, "Hey, like this might be something to do. Like this might be something for you to pursue is youth ministry." And I kind of like I was like, "Oh, like this is that'd be really cool to do that." But there's always that fear of like, is this really what I'm going to do with my
Mm,
life?
mm,
I definitely pushed that off. Like I think I took on my junior year, I didn't play any sports except for baseball at the end of the season, or end of the school year. I played baseball, and I kind of just focused on my relationship with the Lord and grew a lot during that year. It was awesome. Um, and then I didn't really come back to that calling until I was about halfway through my freshman year of college. That's when I felt that calling. Like okay, like I kept running from it, and God kept just saying, "Nope, come on back." And even to where I finished my degree online several years later.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was that first kind of it was that those first conversations with you in particular, of just going like, look, like I think there's potential here. This is definitely something that you could do, and you could do well, which meant a lot, for sure. So as you're a junior in high school wondering what to do with your life,
Yeah.
it's good to have people in your life who are telling you, hey, I think this would be good for you. And especially people who know you well. We've had developed a really good relationship up to that point.
Mm.
Um, and it meant a lot. It meant a lot. So,
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I think it shows both in your and my story, like the importance of how God uses other people in our lives, right? Like,
yeah. Hmm.
um, I think both of us could probably attest to the fact that other people saw that gifting in us before we saw it in
Hmm.
ourselves, or
Oh,
or
yeah.
at least bought into it, within
Hmm.
ourselves. And
For sure.
Donnie Peters, our youth pastor, asking me to intern that first year, and I was planning on going to technical school to do graphic design, which Mallory wishes I would have done. Sometimes when she sees how much people make doing that, but
Yeah.
you don't get into ministry to get rich. That is for sure.
Amen to
Um,
that. Hmm.
but the just the transition that God took me through from other people, even talking about those mistakes that we kind of
Hmm.
laugh about. People who just have the grace to go, look, you screwed up, and
Hmm.
I'm disappointed, but we've all screwed up, and so keep going, keep doing it. I'm still gonna trust you and push you
Right.
further into this.
Hmm.
And so for me, I entered an internship, not even realizing that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life,
Right.
and God used those seasons to show that to me as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, man.
so
Mm.
what else you got, Zach?
Oh gosh. Man. Well, I mean, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about
Here it
um,
comes. Here it comes.
how I want you guys to know something. Okay, I want you to know something.
I
Well,
already
we
know.
well, well we had a very good friendship. Greg also had another friendship that was also important in his life.
Yes.
And I was with Mallory.
Some would argue more important, but that's still debated
Eh,
heavily. So
heavily debatable. And so we, as bros, like we wanted to go play sports and wall ball and all this other stuff. And then we
yeah,
found ourselves hanging out at Mallory's house. So
yep.
the question was, why? Why? And, when we would go to Mallory's house, there was a couch that, three people could sit on. But I was told, no, Zach, you can sit on the floor.
I don't remember ever saying these words.
No, Zach, you can sit on the floor. Those were the words that you said to me. So here I am. What was I, senior in high school at this point? Junior in high school? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But I remember just going, hey, Greg, why are we always going over to Mallory's? I mean, it's cool and all. Like, I like hanging out with people, but I mean, the floor is not very comfortable. Her dog comes up and lays next to me. I don't like this dog. Like, get this dog away from me.
Oh, that dog was awful, man. That was an awful dog.
But like, what the heck, man? Like, come on. Like, let's go do something.
Yep.
But no, let's go hang out at Mallard's, and you can sit on the floor.
I mean, I don't know how interesting this is to anybody else, but Zach is very upset about the fact that apparently he was told he had. Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember that living room, right? Like, I think there was recliners in there too. Like, what? Why would you?
Recliners couldn't see the TV. The recliners were too far away from the TV.
Okay. All right. Well, if we're going to talk about that, we're also going to talk about the fact that most of you know that Zach Klundt is a diehard Seattle Seahawks fan.
You know that's right. I love my Seahawks.
And he claims, he will tell you
Come on,
that this has always been true, and that is just not the case.
I never said it's always true.
I'm not going to label you a true Fairweather fan because you've always been a diehard Cubs fan, and anyone who's been a diehard Cubs fan cannot be labeled completely as a bandwagon fan.
It's true. It's a true story.
So, because Cubs fans are so diehard, we suffered. You know, you and I, we didn't have to suffer near as long as some of our elderly fellow Cubs fans. For their my grandma, for instance, who died at 79, never saw them win the World Series. Which, you know, when the Cubs won, you know, I thought of her, and that was tough to know that she missed it. But Zach was a true through and through Minnesota Vikings fan.
Stop it.
When he was younger in high school. And all of a sudden, Zach goes off to college, and the Seahawks get really good and win a Super Bowl. And next thing I know, it's just beast mode, baby. Beast mode. I'm like, did Marshawn Lynch get traded to the Vikings? Did I miss something? But no, all of a sudden, Zach has always been a Seahawks fan. So, Zach, I would like to hear your rebuttal to this.
I would.
Actually, before you rebut, I distinctly remember within the last few years, your brother agreeing wholeheartedly with me on this. Even your own brother disagrees with your stance on this. Speak to those things, please.
Okay. May I have the floor?
You may.
Okay, first off, there's truth in the fact that I did like a player on the Vikings. His name was Dante Culpepper. I had a Dante Culpepper jersey. I mostly followed players back in the day.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
But I never once saw you wear anything Seahawks ever.
No, because they didn't have very good players at the time.
Okay,
I didn't follow them.
Okay, so
no, I didn't follow them.
You're admitting
I folled players.
I
followed players. No,
they weren't
I'll
good,
delete that.
so you didn't like them.
I'm gonna mute that part.
You just incriminated yourself. Your rebuttal is to basically make my argument for me.
No way. I want you to know, I followed players at the time. I went off to college, and I felt like, you know what? I gotta call a team. I gotta figure out this team thing. I want to have a team. No one wants to root for the Bears. Let's just be real there. No one, even Bears fans don't want to root for the Bears. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think Nick Foles is going to save the Bears?
Come on, son. Nick Foles ain't going to save the Bears. Jeez. I don't know why they went and got Nick Foles. Like, there's a lot of other talented quarterbacks out there that
their management is garbage. Dude, you're talking about the same GM that that traded up to draft Mitchell Trubisky. Like, nobody was taking Trubisky. You didn't have to trade up.
Yeah. Did they pass on Mahomes? Is that accurate? They passed on Mahomes.
They could have had Patrick Mahomes. Yes,
man,
that is factual. All right, nobody cares about our Sports Center talk. Let's hear you try to save this train wreck of an argument.
Anyway, so I started watching Seattle. I like Seattle. I love Russell Wilson. Great player. Good Christian guy.
You jumped on the bandwagon.
I jumped on the wagon, but I have been very faithful.
Makes me feel
ever
so
since
good.
I jumped.
I have never argued that. I have never
since
argued
I jumped.
That.
I have been very faithful with my
Seahawks. They have not had a prolonged season of being terrible since. So
they have not.
If you get 5-7 years of 4-12, I guess it'd be 4-13 now because they're doing 17 games this season.
17 games. Yep.
Then and you're still wearing the jersey, then
I'll still wear
I'll
that
let
jersey.
you own a little more. But
I
there's
will still
no
wear that
doubt
jersey.
in anyone who knows you mind that you jumped on that team as a bandwagon. I mean, it would have made way more sense for you to jump on the Vikings because that's who you've been wearing the colors of.
Ugh, purple. Ugh.
Purple.
No one wants to wear purple.
You're wearing purple right now.
God, dang it, I am. Even the Vikings don't want to wear purple. You know, like
it's Sherrard. It's Sherrard colors, man.
Oh man, Sherrard's the worst.
Sherrard is the high school that my wife went to, the rival high school of Zach's high school.
Yep.
All right, we can move on from sports talk
ground.
because we're probably losing some people.
They're gone. They're
it's your turn. It's your turn. Hit me with something.
Oh man, let's see. Should have wrote some of these down. I had so many beforehand, but now we're live and I can't think of anything. Man,
do you remember? Were you at Snowbird with us when we were climbing up in the roof of the foam pit and jumping out?
I got video of that. And then they told us
we got
not
some
to
good
do
video
that.
of that. Yeah, Brody comes up and he's just like, "Hey, we probably shouldn't do that. So why don't y'all climb up and do it one more time?"
One more time, and then you can come back down.
Brody's awesome, man.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. That was a Snowbird for. I think my students don't really know what Snowbird is. It's like a winter camp on steroids, like pump you full of steroids, and then they send you out. And it is awesome. Yeah,
about half of my students know we are no longer attending, as you know, because we are doing Battle Cry.
As we're doing Battle Cry.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So speaking of Snowbird Camp, there was a time where I don't know what this was before Mel and I dated at all. She was still probably early high school, and we went to Snowbird and we're out walking the loop,
walking the loop
and stuff, and this is just my opinion, but it had to be that as students, y'all wanted to impress me, I guess, because it was just out there. And so I was telling y'all to eat worms because we kept seeing earthworms on the ground. And
I remember this.
I can't believe that both you and my now wife, who would never do this in a million years, she obviously was just trying to impress me. Like, I don't know what your motivation was, Zach, but Mallory had a crush on me long before we started dating. And she'll admit that. And so the earthworms were everywhere. And I think I somehow convinced you that if you would, I would. And after y'all picked up a worm and ate it, I just laughed. There's no chance.
Oh man.
I was gonna do that, and that to me, that's just kind of a funny example of just how our relationship has changed over the years. Like in the early days, it was much more of like a leader-student thing, where it was just like it was cool to kind of do the things that like a leader would say is cool, and then has now changed into a very much a peer relationship where if I told you to eat a worm, you would just laugh at me and tell me I'm stupid at this point.
No one's eating a worm. Ugh, I don't even remember that. I don't even remember eating a worm. I blocked it out of my mind.
My wife does.
I blocked it out of my mind because everyone knows that I can't handle anything
that's hilarious.
Like at all. But yeah, definitely.
As we learned with the lemonade game at camp last year.
Oh man, what a great game!
You were dry heaving in the corner of the room.
Oh man, that was so bad.
The only reason we have camera footage of that is because I was man enough to stand up there and take the camera footage.
I'm so glad you were. I'm so glad you were because I was gonna lose it.
I thought there was a moment where the noises you made were so disgusting. I thought it was happening. I thought you were and no one wants to throw up Camp Allen food because that food is so good. You don't want to.
It's sacred. It's like sacred food in your belly.
Oh my goodness, I've never had food that good in my life. To think
that
it's at a camp. It's at a camp. Speaking of Camp Allen, just want to promote anybody that's watching this. We're also throwing a conversation we had yesterday with Runks Runkles, the one and only. So you want to look for that on our YouTube channels as well. Don't miss out on that. What else want we talk about?
I think it's really cool. I mean, obviously, like, we got really close in high school and stuff. And then like there was that time like where I obviously went to college where there was like this separation, right? Like where we did not get to see a whole lot of each other. Like I was in your wedding. I was in your wedding, which was a lot of fun. I did not get to extend that arm because we had lost touch. We had lost touch for several years.
Yeah, there was a solid 2 to 3 years where it was kind of just, it was check in every now and then. But I mean, this is kind of what happens in that season of life, man. I was starting a family and you were out from college. Like it's just is what it was. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. But I remember like when we first started getting back together and hanging out and stuff, like it was just almost like we just picked up. Like you just picked up right where we left off, and you just went forward. And that's just, it's so good to have people in your life that you can call and just say, hey, like this is going on. Help me through this and stuff. And you're definitely one of those people for me. And it's good.
Totally.
It's good to have those kind of people.
I think what those kind of years did is it allowed there to be a transition between kind of like I'm older than you, kind of was in a leader position and you were a student, and then it allowed us to get more on like, you know, you got married, started having kids, and it just made us in a lot more of a similar life stage. And when we started having lunch at Hy-Vee Bakery on your lunch breaks and stuff again, when you got back to the PC,
that's right.
To me, like it allowed us to go to a much deeper level with our friendship than we had been able to before. You know, when I think our pastor even just taught on like the importance of emotions and not playing too much of emotions, but like that men need people they can share their sorrows with, their hurts with, their joys with. And he talked about David and Jonathan and, you know, how close that, you know, they were, their souls were knit together. Is that what the Bible says? And man, that's the way I feel about our relationship now, that we live 1,200 miles apart, but rarely is there a few days that go by where we're not hitting each other up on Marco Polo and just checking in. When all of this craziness with coronavirus started happening, you know, outside of some immediate family, you're one of the first people I wanted to check in on and see how you were doing and make sure you were okay. Job wise, family wise, health wise, all that stuff. And I don't think that'll ever change at this point, man. I mean, God's blessed us so much that even though we live 1,200 miles away, we can see each other on video chat regularly, and we get to do summer camp together, go to conferences together. So, and if anybody was at Battle Cry last year, I think there is a distinct difference between who you and I are when we're not together in an event and when we are together in an event. And I think our students were a little surprised to see how crazy we were when we were together. I don't know if we got 15 total hours of sleep that week. And
oh man, that was a week.
Part of that for me was like, yeah, there's a lot to do, but like when everybody else went to bed, that was a chance for you and me to hang out and like be together, and I wasn't going to miss out on that. And so just blessed to have you as a friend, man.
Buddy.
Love it. I hope we can do a ton more stuff together. Even though we're so separated distance wise. I mean, I hope Battle Cry goes on for a long time.
Heck yeah.
So, and anything else you want to throw in before we wrap this thing up? People probably have tuned out by this point anyway.
They're leaving
for like 40 minutes. But.
They're leaving. As soon as you said we were knitted together, they're like,
they're just like, okay,
I'm gone.
All right. I don't know what these Fruit Loops are talking about at this point, but I'm done.
But no, I mean, you know, obviously for all the high school students that are out there listening, like you're going to find people in life who that are going to be around for a really long time. And you might find them now, like while you're in high school. Obviously, Greg and I did. I did for sure. I found a buddy who, there's a transition period that happens at some point, but you stay connected with those people. And you might have lifelong friends that you have already met that you're going to continue on with and stuff, and lean into those, especially when you're going through hard times. It's so valuable. It is so unbelievably valuable. To have people in your life who care for you, who love you, and who love for your family too. Like we get together and we hang out with our families and stuff. Like our kids sometimes will face chat with each other, which is hilarious. and just weird, but whatever. Like it's awesome.
There's an ongoing joke about the likelihood of Tucker and Evie getting married.
It's true.
So, but I mean, honestly, though, the reality is they're about the same age, so we know Evie's going to be way more mature than Tucker is. So
that's right.
Maybe Rosie's probably the right age difference.
Rosie might be the age difference.
We'll see how many cows and goats you want for that exchange.
That's right.
We'll
that's
work
right.
that out, but
that's right. That's right. But like you always like see like TV shows and stuff like that where like you have close-knit friends and stuff that you always desperately want, and I definitely have that. Like I feel like I have that with you, and
totally.
it's a good friendship, which is awesome. Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there's not a whole lot of time where we spend not chatting with each other. And if it's been a couple weeks, we know that each other has been really busy during like Christmas and stuff. Like forget about it. We're both really busy, but we definitely always try to make an effort to at least touch base and just see how each other's doing. So
rarely have I had a friendship in my life with someone, even family members, that I can just spend endless sleepless hours with and never want to kill the person.
That's right.
And that's how I know that our relationship is something different, dude, because I mean, and especially like running a camp together, like it'd be easy to just be at each other's throats, but like everything just clicked so smoothly because like we just, I think it's just like when you care about someone enough, like you want their opinion and their voice to matter and count, even if it's not what you wanted or agree with. And yeah, man, you're right. Those relationships, you never know when or where they're going to come from. But I think in life and relationships, you have to invest. You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable with people, or you're never going to have meaningful relationships. And that's that goes into like when you're looking for a spouse. When you're just trying to go deeper in a friendship with someone, but you're gonna find people who kind of let you down, and that's gonna stink. But hopefully, you're also gonna find people that it's gonna be something you can count on always. So all right, man, we should. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, like, because I easily could have just ignored your messages or whatever, like when we were trying to set up times to go and eat at Hy-Vee together, and we could have just never come back together. So, invest in those relationships. They're meaningful. So
we should probably shut up because I don't think people care. I think they're
not anymore.
Out, so
stay gone. So hopefully this is probably not beneficial to anyone, but it was fun to sit down and chat with Greg and just kind of relive some of our life. Yeah, man. Well, take care, and we'll see you soon.